Hey, single moms. Hey, it is Bess. Hashtag single moms level up. So here we are. Let me fix this camera a little bit. So here we are. It is Monday. And we're on the second thing that the second tool that I use to that's what I was waiting for. To change my focus, to tighten and to tighten and make my focus more sharp. There we go. To sharpen my focus. There we go. To sharpen my focus. So as I said, I got these five, I'm gonna call them principles or pillars. I got them from a class that I took many years ago. And it was during a hard time in my life that I took this class, and I was actually experiencing some grief because my mom had just passed away. Um, I'd say a few months before I started this class. But I went to this class. I returned back to the church that I grew up in. Yes, I'm a church girl. But just know that church girls go through things, even though it may seem like they've got a picture perfect life or whatever. And not even picture perfect because, I was raised by a single mom. But even though I may always look very well put together because that's what I was taught to do, but there's still things that church girls go through, things that we go through internally because of being brought up in the church culture, especially like back in the 70s and stuff like that. It was very I don't even know what the word is for it, but it was very, I was taught to have this facade all the time of always knowing what to do, what to say. And maybe it's just the way that I took it, but I felt like I always needed to know what I needed to say, when to say it, time and a place for everything, which that's true. There is a time and a place for everything, but it also had me to squish down a lot of emotions and things that I was going through. And just my mom's generation, they didn't have conversations much. They didn't talk much about feelings and what to expect and how to respond to these feelings. None of that stuff is talked about. That nowadays is more of a conversation that is being talked about. So I didn't know how to handle a lot of stuff emotionally, and didn't know how to respond to those things other than to try to control it, which sometimes you just can't, especially in grief. Especially in grief, you cannot control when that grief slaps you upside the head, when it just hits you and you can't control your tears, and you can't control the emotion because it overwhelms you. But anyway, I learned this way of journaling that covered 5 areas of our lives that you address, and it was in a passion and purity singles class. So I cannot remember the book. I'm hoping one day it just pops into my head and I remember what that book is, so I can tell you guys what it is and offer it as a reference. But I remember the process of it. I don't know how it was arranged. I don't remember how it was arranged in the book, but God has told me that this is how it needs to be arranged. So we're in the second part of focus, of our focus journaling, and where we would go. And we're in the second part of that. If you want to pull up, some digital pages that you can download and all that stuff, if you want access to that, you can go to my link tree and find that on my website, and go ahead and get that. because it goes down into more detail than what I'm telling you. Um, Actually, it gives you the outline of how to work it and everything. But the second part of that is the physical. So the physical part of us, especially single moms, I want to say, is we forget sometimes to take care of ourselves, the physical part of ourselves. So the physical part of ourselves is what we drink, what we eat, what we do with our bodies, our sleeping, what all of our physical things that need to be addressed and taken care of. A lot of times as single moms, we forget about them, and it's not intentional. Um, I think I think it's just something that happens because we're not intentionally focused on it. So that's really what the journaling is about, and that's what these different phases are about, is to be more intentional about what we focus on. A lot of times as single moms, the focus tends to be our finances, because it takes a lot. Our finances and time. And it takes a lot of finances, and it takes a lot of time to care for and raise and guide our children, that we put all of that, our money, our time, and everything all into our children. Let me speak for myself. I did. And and I left myself out of that. And I only allowed myself, for a long time, I only allowed myself Mother's Day and my birthday to focus on myself. And for a long time, like especially in the beginning, with my son, because I had my son first and then my daughter, I did these Mother's Day retreats with one of my friends, my good friends, Alicia. Hey girl, hey Lily. She used to do these Mother's Day retreats, weekend. It was like a weekend retreat. We would go and stay in a hotel. We would stay in a hotel. I think we would get there Friday night. No, Saturday. We would get there Saturday morning, check into our hotel. No. That's not right. Let me fix that. Friday. We would get there Friday night, check into the hotel. Saturday, we would go to Glen Ivy, to the spa, and spend all day at the spa and get treatments and whatever else, have lunch, be at the pool, hang out with each other, have discussions, do mud baths, all that good stuff. Saturday night, even though I'm not sure the hotel, they had to have known we were doing it because the food we were cooking smelled so good. We would always take a plate, so they did know. Take a plate down to them, but we had hot plates in the rooms, and we would fill up, quite a few rooms and stuff, because there's a big group of us. And it was our friends, that were our age. It was her mom's friends, my mom's friends, my sister's mom friends. So a whole bunch of different ages of women coming for Mother's Day to celebrate Mother's Day with their mothers or as mothers. And we would come celebrate together and spend that time with each other. And I used to so look forward to that weekend. And it was just the weekend that I just really got to relax, got to hang out with some other women, and just be, man. It's just like this podcast. So, if you don't know what podcast you're watching, the podcast that you're watching is called Just Be. It is the summer series. So it happens basically from June through August, like the first week or two in August, because out here in Houston, school goes back in about the middle of August. So it's just a summer series, just to help single moms to keep going through the summer and have something to look forward to. I know there's a lot going on in our lives, as single moms in the summertime, because you got to find some place for the kids to be, because school's out, and you still keep going in that facet, and it's just all on us. So our it's not really a vacation for us, it's a vacation for the kids, and they get to have summer camp or whatever, but the resources have to still keep coming through, and our time is still very full. And I can't say, married moms, their time is very full as well, but it's different when you're a single mom because everything is on us. Everything's on us. So there's a lot more energy that needs to be exerted, a lot more finances that need to come in, or a better stewardship, or responsibility and finances. There we go. Responsibility and finances that fall on single moms, and it could be a heavy load to carry. Oh my gosh. It can be a heavy load to carry. So, as I say, hashtag single moms level up. My name is Bess, and I'm the creator of the Just Be podcast, or the host of Just Be podcast, the creator of Single Moms Level Up, and the facilitator of the Single Moms Club private Facebook group. So, anyway, as I was saying, the second phase or area of our lives is our physical. So for me, it took some years, because for me to get my physical down, as far as like my body, because I lost touch with my body a while ago. A while ago. And then when it came down to, hey, I need to do something about this, because this is not it's not healthy for me. I don't feel I don't feel like I'm in the place that I need to be, not comparing myself to anybody but myself. And I know that I want to be around for my grandchildren and the rest of the grandchildren that will come in the future, far off future, I hope. But anyway, I know that I'm not in the best shape that I could be in. So I wanted to do something so that I could be around and be healthy, and live a longer life, and not be in any type of risk of having something because of something that I could control. I could control myself, and that's the only thing I could control. But as single moms, sometimes we let that control of ourselves go in order to put all of our energy, resources, everything into our children. But just as the people in flights, just as the flight attendants tell us, put the mask on yourself first, so then you can help the other person. I always thought for a while that I was like, why would I do that? They need to breathe. But if I'm not breathing and they breathing, that's a worse situation. You know what I'm saying? I could think better if I have more oxygen when I give them, their oxygen. I could think better. I can help them out better. I could do better when I help myself to be in a better place, so that I can be there to help them. So I've learned that too as well, that when I'm okay, my kids are okay. I believe that I've passed on some things to my children as far as I'm gonna say emotional well-being. I'm gonna say that's probably what I passed on to my kids, is not an emotional well-being. We talk a lot though. I may have done a little better with them than I was taught, but because I didn't know how that worked, I don't think I passed that on very well as financial literacy. I didn't feel like I had financial literacy, so I don't think I passed that on very well either. As far as physical, I passed that on to my kids, but then as they got older, I'm sorry, my stomach is upset, y'all. My stomach is very upset. I got that bubble gut. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's that. But anyway, sorry for that. That was too much information. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so the physical part of things is what we put in our mouths, what we're drinking, exercise, our skin, skincare, all of that, our eye care, our oral health. All of that is a part of our physical that we need to pay attention to as well. Y'all see I got a new headscarf on, right? I usually have that black and white one on. But this is making me see all my grays. But it's well worth it, That means I got some wisdom, right? Isn't that what that means? But anyway, I'm having a lot of squirrel moments right now because I'm really opening up and being vulnerable to you, and yeah, by telling you some things about myself. Um, but anyway, so the physical part of it is something that we need to do. So for me, the one thing that I was very intentional about was when I had my son, I changed my eating habits, and not when I had him, but while I was pregnant. I knew my eating habits were bad. I mean, it was bad. It was a McDonald's, it was pizzas, whatever I wanted to eat. But I always felt in my body, I listened to what my body was saying a lot of the time. And sometimes my body would be like, hey, I need some water, man. I need you to drink some water. So even though I hated water at the time, I would drink water. Um, One of the waters that got me to drink more water and got me to transition from sodas to water was Clearly Canadian. I just found that water again, and I found Clearly Canadian at Trader Joe's. And so I would have been buying Clearly Canadian, and then it disappeared, and I couldn't find it for years. And then now Walmart has got Clearly Canadian, and so does Sam's Club. So Clearly Canadian is it's a carbonated water, but they use real fruit juice to flavor it. I don't know what that. I'm having a little minute there, but they use real fruit juice to flavor it, and I like the taste of it. It's bubbly enough, almost like soda. But I like it, and so that was my transition into drinking just regular water. So then when I went to regular water, I would just drink regular water, or I would drink infused water. So, there was a big thing when they used to have those containers that you could put fruit in the inside, and it was like an inside cylinder inside of the cylinder inside of your water bottle. And so you could infuse it with fruit or whatever. So I did that for a while, and then I finally got to myself to drinking just regular water. So, I got that regular water and I almost always have a water bottle with me. When I have my kids in the summertime, especially here in Texas, I used to carry one of those little mini igloos. And so we'd have like 2 waters each in that igloo. And so I would keep that in the car because we were doing football and stuff like that. And so in order to make sure we had some type of health something in there, I had to do that because a lot of times we were eating out, and there's not always the best choices when we're eating out, because that game can be getting out late at 10 o'clock, and there's not that many choices at 10 o'clock at night, other than some fast food stuff. And so I would make sure that when we do eat at home, that we would have a well-balanced meal, fruits, vegetables, and all of that, and do that. And then I also would cook things that can for lack of a better word, mutate into another meal. So I would cook something and have a lot of it, and so it would mutate into something else. So we would have chicken one night, like rotisserie chicken or something like that, and vegetables and whatever. And then I would take whatever the rotisserie chicken was left, and I would make chicken enchiladas. And then, chicken enchiladas and some oh my gosh, Spanish rice. I would do Spanish rice, and then things would roll off into we'd have rice, and then we'd have leftover rice, and so that would roll off into burritos or whatever, or we would have it with tacos the next day. And so, things like that, it would roll into other meals. So if there were leftovers, I could use my leftovers and not have to throw them out. And for whatever reason, I can't even say that. I was going to say for whatever reason, my kids didn't eat really the same meal twice, back to back, I should say. But that's because when they were little, I would cook fresh meals every day. And so I was one of those Trader Joe people. There was somebody that used to tease me about that I was like a Trader Joe junkie. And so I would be at Trader Joe's, and I would buy stuff at Trader Joe's almost it was like daily meals, and I would buy that, and it would be different meal every night. The only time that we would have something duplicated would probably be on Friday, maybe Saturday night, because that would be the leftovers, because that by that time we've got a whole bunch of leftovers, and it's like, go get what you want and warm it up. But yeah, that the things we ingest, we got to be aware of that. We got to make sure we're eating, vegetables, and make sure we're eating fruit, make sure we're eating, some some protein, make sure we're drinking the a lot of water. For me, I had always been told about water, because I have asthma and allergies, and they were much worse when I was little, to the point of having to go and get injections weekly, as well as treatments weekly. And it was like that for probably almost all of elementary school, up until I was like in fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade. Then it kind of released a little bit more, and then I started taking pills, and had fewer visits to the hospital. Um, but I had always had, asthma and allergies, and I still do. And so there's times, like now my eyes look very red, and they're kind of itchy, but that's because there's been a lot of wind here. And so there's a lot of dirt kicked up, and I have allergies to a lot of stuff. And it's environmental allergies as well as indoor and outdoor allergies. And so I get affected by those things often. And so I was told to drink water, but for me, and the way that I understand things, if you don't give me a reason why am I doing it? Am I doing it just because you tell me to? Or what's the reason behind it? If you really want me to do it, you need to explain to me what the reasoning is behind it. What's the benefit of it, of me doing something? Not always the benefit, but what's the reason behind it? If I have a clear understanding of it, then I'll do it, if it makes sense, but if it doesn't make sense, then I may or may not do it. But you're giving me an option to choose and to have a better understanding. But of course, as I grew up in that area when it was uh, you know, child's place, and you don't ask questions, you just do follow instructions. And so, but I did not like water. I didn't like it. I thought I was being punished because I wanted Kool-Aid, I wanted soda, and this, that, whatever. But was told to drink a lot more water, and kept being told to drink water I want to. So I made sugar water, I made all kinds of stuff just to try to get something. And but now I understand that water was to help to keep me flushed, because people with allergies and people with allergies and asthma, there's a mucus buildup that happens in our bodies. And so that water helps to keep that flushed out, and helps to keep your body, help your body to release the mucus and whatever else, so that you don't have as many issues all the time. So I understand that now, and so now I do drink water. And after I did try a 75 hard challenge, and made it probably 2 weeks solid through. I've been started over a lot. But part of that 75 hard challenge is you have to drink a gallon of water. So I didn't think that was possible. I was like, that's a lot of freaking water. But if you're doing everything in that 75 hard challenge, and you're working out twice a day, you're, choosing your own meal plan, you're reading, 5 to 10, sentences of, or 5 to 10 pages, 10 pages of something that is inspiring and uplifting, and then you're drinking all that water, your body needs it. Because working out twice a day, your body needs it, twice a day for 45 minutes, it's a lot. And I was like, I understood and got a clear understanding of how my body needs water, based on all the movement that I need to do, and the thought processes I need to have, in doing my job, raising kids and all of that. That helps with all of that. So pay attention to what you're putting into your body, what you're drinking, how it makes you feel. I've gotten to a point where I just don't drink alcohol anymore. Back in my 20s, I drank, y'all. I mean, I drank. It was a lot, and considering from my body weight, it was a lot. But now it burns my stomach. I try to just have a glass of wine, maybe, around Christmas or whatever every now and then, and it just burns, y'all. I was like, it's not worth it. It burns my stomach. Then I have an upset stomach all night. Um, Takes a couple days for my body to recover, so I just leave it alone. I just leave it alone. Just I'm done. I'm not gonna play with. I don't want to play no more. So, but yeah. So pay attention to how things make you feel. I may have a soda here and there, but not too much. I'm not gonna drink the whole thing. It doesn't matter what size it is. I'm not gonna drink the whole thing. Um, I may want it and have a few sips of it, but I can guarantee you I'm probably gonna throw at least half of it away. Because I don't do sodas really very well or as often anymore. So I found the Clearly Canadian again, like I said, at Sam's Club and Walmart. So now if I want a soda, I go get Clearly Canadian, and then I'm good, you know. But I drink water mostly. I do drink coffee. I've gone back to drinking some coffee, but I've been drinking this mushroom coffee, that Rise mushroom coffee. It tastes like dirt, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Some people say, oh, it has a nutty taste. Yeah, dirt. Dirt. That's the taste. Dirt. Don't ask me how I know, but I was one of those kids. But you put some creamer in and it's good. It's cool. I can work with it. But I need to get off that coffee too, because I took myself off of coffee a while ago, some years ago, and I just drank tea, and that was probably the most caffeine that I had was tea. And tea, it does not have as much caffeine in it as coffee does. So I'm realizing that I have a better recovery with tea than I do with coffee. And the Rise, they say that you don't have the drop, but I still feel it for my body. I still feel it. I still feel it wear off, and then I'm tired. And sleep. Y'all, sleep is another one of the physical things that we need to make sure that we're sleeping. Yes, as single moms, we have a lot of things to do to keep the house going. Why this person decides to pull up next to me, behind me, or whatever, and there's all these spaces over here, I don't understand. But anyway, um, but yeah, sleep is a thing as well. Naps became my friend once I had kids. And don't underestimate a 10-minute or 15-minute power nap, because that helps, especially if you have an hour lunch. My hour lunches, when I had hour lunches, that first 30 minutes was me eating my food. The second 30 minutes, I sure enough was going to take about a 20 to 25-minute nap, and then I'd go back to work, and man, was I able to get stuff done. Now I work at a job where I only get 30 minutes, but I had to ask him, hey, I can't eat in 30 minutes. That's too fat. Well, it's not that I can't eat in 30 minutes. It's that I can't go get something to eat and then come back and eat it in 30 minutes. We're in an industrial area. I was like, so you got to drive, to the next city over or whatever. You got to drive a ways, 2 to 3 miles away, and come 2 to 3 miles back. And by the time you get back, you got 10 minutes to eat. I was like, I need at least 45 minutes for lunch. And so, the store manager granted me that, and I appreciate it. But beware of what you're doing physically for your own body, so that we can physically be able to do the things that we need to do for our children. Well, y'all, that's it. It's just, I try to keep it at 30 minutes, y'all. Just a little inspirational talk, something to help you make it through as a single mom. Be aware of your physical. What are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you doing to take care of yourself, your body, physically, that will end up helping you mentally, which we talked about that last week. You want to see that video on what we talked about? Go back and watch that. The replay is up. And I want to say have a great day, y'all. Much love. Hashtag Single Moms Level Up. Bye.